By another short and perhaps somewhat creepy dream, I was standing looking at what was apparently my house, though here on the real side it bore very little resemblance to our present dwelling on the physical plane. In particular, it was located on the corner of a T-shaped road junction. It was, in effect, standing on the corner made by the right half of the crossbar of an inverted T. It also had a very large front garden with seemingly little but long grass in it, rather like a small field, and was bordered by a chain-link fence that had clearly seen better days. For a moment I found myself now at the front door and only partially clad. I had some of my clothes over my arm and now commenced to put my shirt on. Before I had finished the act of dressing or presumably entered the house, I found myself back at the fence, already fully dressed and observing what appeared to be a damaged section of the fence. Whereas chain-link fencing is usually supported by either steel or concrete posts, here on the physical, this one was held up by extremely inadequate-looking thin wooden poles of about the dimension of household broom handles. One appeared to have been broken off at ground level and was missing, leaving a section about 3 or 4 feet wide of the fencing seemingly trampled down to the ground. Instinctively I appeared to know where to look for the missing pole and walked a short distance down the road to the opening of a dark passageway between the houses. Sure enough, the pole was laying there, and I picked it up and returned to the hole in the fence. I was then made aware that lower down the pole from where I held it in a vertical position, there were 2 or 3 longish black worms making their way upwards towards my hand. I deduced they were big leeches, and banged the pole on the ground, at which the leeches slid down and onto the ground. I think at least one still clung to the bottom of the pole. Looking where they fell, I noticed nearer my feet 2 or 3 other worm-like creatures, but these were a very bright pink colour and glowed with a strange phosphorescent light that seemed to engulf them, such that it was difficult to see them properly. At this point the dream ended. My thoughts on the thing. The intersection in the roads seemed to suggest a choice of direction, and the apparent indecision on my part, 1 minute at the fence, then at the door, then back at the fence, seems to indicate I was having some problem with which route to take. Should I go back into the personal house, perhaps dressing myself again with old habits, or should I take a new path? By lingering too long at the fence, I was perhaps exposing myself to the will of the dark forces symbolised by the menacing leeches. But there was still hope that perhaps more attractive creatures that lay between me and the leeches, perhaps blocking their way to me. I actually have no problem with leeches or any other animals, so-called creepy crawlers or whatever. I find them all delightful and part of our wonderful natural world. All the more sad to see their and our coming demise as the cretins that be set about their damnable work. I suppose, however, something or other has to play the part of the villains of the piece, else it would not be possible to symbolise it. In any event, I guess many people wouldn't share my enthusiasm for big black worms, and after all, these adventures are for the benefit of anyone who cares to listen, and certainly not just for me. That's my thoughts on that one. If Duane's got anything to say, please.
Well, it's very simple, Peter. As you go through these experiences, you have the awareness that, you see what's being presented to you. You have the choices, so you're aware of what's going on and the influences there. So we all have to deal with them, like the leeches and what have you. So, but you're aware of that, and so with the awareness you have now, because most people don't have it, they're just viewing their own ideas. They're just viewing their own ideas, and so you know, again, you know that you're the decider. You make the choice. So it's just showing you, you know, you are aware. So all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I'm aware. I make the decision. I decide to, you know, go with what I've always done, or learn to see what else there is. And the seeing is one thing, and it's the recognition. So, you know, at first we're like with our parents again. You know, the parent thing is very obvious as you see how it works, and that is that, you know, like you're driving along in a car with your parents and you're about 5 or 6 years old. Well, you know, the child is experiencing the drive, but can the child recognize how to drive the car? You see, there becomes the difference. So he's driving with the parents. So as the guidance is there, it's, you know, taking you along and you're having the experience, but at the same time, recognizing the experience, learning to recognize it, and more so than just creation. So we have experiences, but to see through the experiences also, see, that becomes you know, a bigger view for us, but at the same time recognize what's happening in the experience. So you have the awareness to see what's going on as you're going through yours, and you decide how much more aware you want to be. So again, there's always an opportunity there, but you are the decider. Yes, thank you for sharing, Peter.
I was walking across some large grassy area, a park or similar. Then a strange thing came into view. There was a largish oblong, maybe 15 to 20 feet from end to end, comprising several posts about a metre tall, evenly spaced about 5 to 6 feet apart, and green in colour, almost looking like they were made of grass. As I approached this, a tall 60 to 70-year-old morose-looking man appeared near the far end of the oblong. He wore from neck to foot a black dress-like garment and proved to be some kind of Christian priest. He thought I was somebody he was evidently expecting, and began to address me by that person's name, but looked even more narked when I put him right. The scene changed, and I was in some kind of open-topped kiosk place. Evidently there was some kind of church fete, usually a fate worse than death, taking place, and I was confronted by a small counter boasting a handful of uninspiring looking books. One, however, caught my eye, a very small, about 3 inches square booklet with only very few pages and looking like an escapee from a 5-year-old's handicraft lesson. However, what had caught my eye was the title, Giant Snakes. Being a lifelong fan of such beasties, I picked up the thing and opened it. I didn't know what I was originally expecting, but it was a scarcely worded effort which included a few rather weird paintings. However, feeling rather charitable, I felt obliged to ask the person, now apparent behind the counter, how much it was. 5-1, came the rather enigmatic response. What a strange price, I thought. £1, or maybe $4.99, the retailer's psychologically insulting ploy at making it sound cheaper. I was just pondering over this and searching my pockets for the money when the dream ended. My thoughts on this, not very many I'm afraid, but the obvious theme common to both scenes is my contempt for organised religion, especially the Christian church, as symbolised by the miserable git and the well overpriced so-called book, even if it was for charity. I'm not sure what the latter-day attempt at a stone circle, it was neither a decent circle nor apparently made of stone, but some indeterminate, inferior stuff signified other than more of the same. That is my feelings about the ineffectual church. Some might point to the reptilian motif of the book, but as snakes, bigger the better, and crocodilians have always been my favourite animals since as early as I can remember. To me, this is rather meaningless, I'm afraid. So that's all I've got on that one. Back to you, Duane.
Well, that's a fun one, Peter. So you were constantly meeting these people that want to play their roles with this dark position and try to influence us in some way. So it appears that they created something there to catch your eye. Doesn't matter what it is. It's a whatever. And on the real side, you see it for what it is. So here it's a big building that looks all ornate, which they probably stole from the Tartarians, whatever, okay, or somebody creative. And on the real side, you kind of see it as like it's like nothing, but they pretend that it appears to be something because they're all pretending here. So again, you're going through your experiences, and life is showing you the comparison. So it's showing you these dark sides too, because again, just like what we're going through with this created pandemic in the world, this has motivated a lot of people to pay more attention and wake up. So it's all about a wake-up call. So, you know, as you step up with the NUUU, the idea is that, hey, we're going to show you some really bad stuff to motivate you, to get you to focus on something real. So that's what it all equals. So in the meantime, our personal self goes through these funny things and even terror at times and wonders what the heck is going on. And it takes a while, but again, it's all through your decision and taking the risk to see more. So, yes, thank you for sharing, Peter.
After the Skype the other night, the Galaxy's one, I think it ended about 7:45 our time. I got bounced out of the call anyway, but and I couldn't get back in. And I went outside. I thought, well, it was a clear night, so I thought I'll just see what I can see. And as soon as I went outside, as soon as I went out my back door, I looked up and I seen a UFO, and it flew straight above my head. Well, not above my head, but like above my ass, and it was out flying. It was heading south. And I thought, well, it's not. It's definitely because it's not flashing, planes flash and all that, and it was going that fast. And then stayed out there a bit longer. And well, anyway, I ended up seeing about 7, and it was all going south, all of them, all these UFOs. But they want all together. There was about 3 minutes apart, 2 or 3 minutes apart. And I seen one of them going north, and I thought, hang on, is that a satellite? I thought, no. And then I looked up, and I was looking up, because when I'm seeing them, I'm seeing the NUUU the whole time. And I looked up, and it was up high. I thought, oh, it's a satellite. But then it wasn't, because obviously satellites have got a trajectory, it's down this trajectory, but this didn't. It done like 3 circles. Up really high. It was really high. Like I thought it was a satellite first, so it was. You can imagine how high it was. But no, it done actually circled around 3 times above my ass, and that was it. And I thought, oh, cool. And then I was like I said, I was outside. I was outside the back door, and I leaned on the back door, and I sang NUUU some more. I was out there for a while. I had a view. Impression, and it was awesome. Really, it was me, and there was I don't know how many there was altogether. I think there was less than 20. There was less than 20 people, less than 20, yeah. And it was just like I was stood on a UFO, if you know what I mean. And I was just being transported up into the air. But I went on my own. There was, like I said, there was about 20 other people. I recognised one of them. One of them was Mia. She was above me, and she was like waving up, shouting up, "Come on, Dad, come on up!" And this was straight after like the Skype chat. But it was there was strange what I was stood on, because I wasn't stood on anything, and then the next moment I was on this it was a flying saucer, but it had a flat top on it, and as it was obviously going up into the air, accelerating because it was going fast. I was spinning round as well. I was going in a spinning motion, but and so were the other people on the other ones, because they was all on like these craft. and it was all like being flying up into the air, and it was just flying up really, really high. But I couldn't really tell who any of the other people were, but I know one of them for sure was Mia, because she shouted up, and I looked up, and she's like, "Dad, come up, come up." And then I was like, we was going up, and it was just like, but like we were stood on, there was like, I don't know, there was like little UFOs, and it was like they were spinning one way, spinning off up into whatever trajectory it was taking us. Obviously, I was like, you know them, when you got one of these girls and that, they have like these jewelry boxes, and you open the box and they got like a ballerina like spinning on that, and that's like the impression I got, that like I was on this little UFO. It was like a plate, a dish, and I was on that, and I was spinning around really slowly, taking in the whole views, and as I was like being propelled up into the air. But I wasn't alone. Like I say, I think it was less than 20 of us, but I'm not really sure how many there was. Probably more than 10 and less than 20. But yeah, and then it was like, it was just light, and I don't see whether we went into a craft or anything. It just ended in light, and that was it.
Yeah, last night I was viewing two people in different spacesuits. One was the helmet was real close to their head, and the other one was a bigger helmet. They were kind of in a reddish, dark red spacesuits, just sitting there looking at me. So things are being prepared. We'll see as the world gets worse. And so, yes, it's paying attention to what's going on, or go with the panic. So that's very good, Pearce. It's wonderful that you're sharing that. You should write those down and create Facebook groups with them, because let people know what's going on. We're trying to warn them that, wake up, there's more going on. So, yes.